This time, it's war.
Last week I reviewed one of the greatest horror movies of all time, 1979's Alien. It was so groundbreaking and popular that it got a sequel in 1986, cleverly named Aliens instead of Alien 2. Let's see how it holds up to the first one. And if you haven't seen it yet for some reason, as usual, there's gonna be some spoilers. Last time we saw Ripley, she had just blown the alien into the vacuum of space and put herself in cryosleep with the hope that somebody would find her floating around and rescue her. Well, her prayers were answered. She pulled a Captain America and was found frozen in space 57 years later. That is such a mind explosion. Can you even imagine being plucked from your life and waking up almost 60 years later? I can't blame her for freaking out the way she did either. What makes it even worse is that she told her daughter she'd be home for her birthday, and she wakes up to find out her daughter already passed away as an old woman. She still got Jonesy the cat, at least. Fun fact here, that photo you see of her daughter is a photo of Sigourney Weaver's actual mother. And this entire scene was originally cut from the movie and didn't show up until a 2003 special edition release. And Ripley meets up with the higher-ups from the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, and the only thing they care about is the fact that she blew up an expensive ship. And of course, as these things usually go in movies, nobody believes her story about an alien taking out her crew one by one.
Did IQs just drop sharply while I was away?
What's even more crazy than Ripley's story is the fact that the company built a colony on LV-426, where Ripley and her crew originally discovered the xenomorph eggs. There's groups of families living there with kids and everything, trying to make the planet habitable for human life, and so far, there had been no reports of any kind of alien activity from the colonists on the planet. It was only a matter of time before the situation went to hell. And this girl has an excellent horror movie screen, by the way. The colony goes quiet, and now the company is ready to listen to Ripley. She's now considered a xenomorph expert, and they want her to go down to the colony and investigate what happened, and she eventually agrees. But she is not alone. And this is where things start to feel very different from Alien. The sequel is a strange movie, because in many ways, it's the complete opposite of Alien, but every bit as entertaining and classic. Alien was very much a horror movie, and Ripley was isolated in a small space, being stalked by one alien with nowhere to go. Aliens has her in a more open environment, with a group of Marines, and it's closer to an action movie than it is to a horror movie this time around. And the reason the movie is called Aliens instead of Alien 2? There's more than one alien, hence the S. In fact, the colony is completely overrun by the xenomorphs, and for the most part, all the colonists have been wiped out. And Ripley travels to LV-426 with a battalion of Space Marines. Now, you see Space Marines in every form of media now, especially in video games like Halo, and even Gears of War, for example. This was a fairly new concept at the time, and Aliens is the movie that made the character stereotype of a Space Marine famous. The Marines are clearly here just to be alien food, but they introduce some of the most memorable and entertaining characters you can find in any movie. They're all gung-ho soldiers that want nothing more than a good firefight and are always cracking jokes on each other. It all feels so natural, and you can't help but crack a smile when all these soldiers are in a room together delivering hilarious lines.
Hey, Vasquez. Have you ever been mistaken for a man?
No. Have you?
Oh, Vasquez.
Some of the more entertaining ones you'll encounter. You've got Michael Biehn, who you may recognize as Kyle Reese from the original Terminator. He plays Hicks, and he's the tougher, more experienced Marine that ends up being one of the main characters right beside Ripley.
Hicks, I'm not gonna end up like those others. You'll take care of it, won't you?
If it comes to that, I'll do us both.
Bill Paxton, who was always a blast to watch on the screen, plays Hudson. He had me laughing throughout the entire movie. He starts off talking so much crap and acting like the badass and ends up being a wuss.
How do I get out of this chicken shit outfit?
This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening. Now what the fuck are we supposed to do? We're some real pretty shit now, man. You finished?
Vasquez is the tough female member of the squad that puts some of these men to shame.
Wake up, pendejo, man, I'm gonna kill you!
Back off. Right now.
Gorman is the one that monitors the squad and gives them their orders, and I think he's the absolute worst person they could have put in that position. Half the time he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing, and when they drop down to the planet, he's looking nervous, and he admits that he has virtually no real-world military experience dropping into a combat zone. The camera pans over to Hicks, and he's passed out asleep. He also mixes up Hicks and Hudson.
Left gateway, but...
Sir.
What is it, Hicks?
Hudson, sir. He's Hicks.
And panics when the shit hits the fan.
Anything in here?
My favorite squad member has to be Sergeant Apone, I think that's how you pronounce it. He's the stereotypical cigar-loving drill sergeant that keeps everybody in line. And he was clearly the inspiration behind Halo's Sergeant Johnson.
Right, sweethearts, you heard the man and you know the drill, assholes and elbows. Look into my eye. You secure that shit, Hudson. Another glorious day in the Corps. Hudson, come here. Come here.
And also coming along with Ripley is Bishop, the android that works on the ship, and who Ripley is completely terrified of, since the android on the last ship tried to kill her. So clearly she doesn't trust him at all.
You sure you don't want some?
Just stay away from me, Bishop. You got that straight?
And Burke. Burke is the company man that originally informed her that she was asleep for 57 years. Once the Marines land on the planet and really start looking around, they realize that all the colonists are already dead or harvested, and they get assaulted by a ton of aliens. This movie is so action-packed. There's Marines running around shooting blindly, while aliens are climbing all over the place, taking them out one by one, while everyone is screaming and Ripley is watching helplessly behind the scenes. It's a pure adrenaline rush. They do find one survivor in the entire colony, the little girl from the beginning of the movie that was screaming at the top of her lungs. She calls herself Newt, and she's been hiding from the aliens successfully this entire time. I loved her relationship with Ripley. Ripley becomes almost like a mother figure to this girl, and she protects her fiercely throughout the entire movie. And it makes total sense that she wants to protect this girl, especially with the added scene where Ripley finds out that she'd lost her own daughter while she was asleep. I'm actually kind of surprised they cut that scene out in the original release of the movie, because it makes her relationship to Newt that much stronger. Aliens does take some of the plot points from the first movie and completely turns them on their head. Ripley was so terrified of the Bishop android in this because of what happened the first time around. But Bishop ends up being a hero and helps Ripley, Newt, and Hicks survive this entire disaster. There is a traitor again, but this time it ends up being a human, Burke, the company man. He doesn't want these aliens killed. He wants to take one back to study and uses a biological weapon. This is how you do a sequel. Don't repeat what you did the first time around. Take similar plot points and surprise audiences with changes they don't expect. This movie takes everything that made Aliens so good and amps it up. It completely raises the stakes and really cements Ripley as one of the great Hollywood action heroes. Without any military training or hesitation, she rushes in to save any Marine she can. She successfully keeps Newt safe through the entire situation, while battle-hardened Marines are picked off. And she fearlessly destroys the alien nest she discovers with a flamethrower. Ripley is completely convincing as a character that is sick of this shit. So in Alien and in Aliens, there's a nest of eggs, and this movie introduces the question, who's laying them all? The big baddie, the final boss of this movie is the alien queen. She is huge and she is scary. I give the creators 1,000 gamer thumbs up for creating this beast. You can clearly see it's animatronic and the actors are seeing something right in front of them. The skill that it takes creating something of this caliber and making it look realistic on screen is amazing. In today's world, they would just generate something on a computer and slap it on the screen and have most actors reacting to nothing. This is undisputably one of the most iconic fights I've ever seen in a movie, and it gave birth to one of the most famous lines in movie history.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Ripley comes in fearlessly looking like a transformer and goes at it with the queen in a brawl that you'd expect out of a Godzilla movie. and the movie ends very similar to the first one. She blows the queen out of the airlock, and she almost gets sucked away with her. Ripley and the rest of the survivors go back into cryosleep and head back home. Aliens was the peak of the Alien franchise and sits amongst the most classic of movies. A movie that honors the first one and surpasses it in many ways. It's timeless, it's entertaining, and it's been copied time and time again. If you haven't watched this movie yet, get off your computer, go pick up a copy of it and check it out. It is impossible to dislike. Make sure you leave me a like if you enjoyed hearing my opinion of the movie, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Check out some of my other awesome videos too. This is Fabian from GamerThumbTV. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.